What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some very important levels to watch for and how things are looking. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, when it comes to the way the market is moving, guys, I think that something very interesting is brewing. I think that the market may dip a little bit today, and then we're going to be looking for a big squeeze going into next week. And I think that Tesla's going to follow the trend. Now, this squeeze does not mean I think the market's going to be pumping forever. It's going to be a temporary one before we see more potential downside for September, approaching October for the broader markets. And it's going to have a big effect on Tesla. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. Just know that all the data was decent when it comes to PCE, the Chicago PMI, and then also the Michigan consumer sentiment data was decent. It was pretty good in my opinion. Everything was quite good when it comes to inflationary expectations and sentiment. So that's not bad whatsoever. On Monday, September 2nd, the stock market is going to be closed in commemorance of Labor Day, and we'll be back on Tuesday. And I think that when the market returns, we're going to be looking for potential upside. I presume that's the most likely possibility. So I'm going to start off by talking about SPY, then I'll talk about Tesla. What do I think is going to happen? This is a video you don't want to miss. Now, in all my videos, I oftentimes go over the levels, so you guys could see my levels, right? You guys see them all the time, so I'm not going to go over them in this video. Instead, I just want to focus on something else. What I think is going to happen is, and this is a new style that I have, I'm seeing that there's a slight divergence forming on SPY, and they give us a head and shoulders trap to get everyone to start shorting, thinking the market's going to collapse. But I presume as long as we hold key support, as long as we don't lose the low from yesterday, I think that there might be a push potentially coming, and we might be breaking all-time highs very soon next week. And I'm going to break down exactly why that is. So the first thing is we got this very aggressive dump on Wednesday. This was after Nvidia's earnings, and this was like our pivot. So we hit this low, we came back up, we made a higher low. So this is like a start of a potential reversal pattern. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a pump coming. I'm going to explain why that is. So we might dip like this. We might dip like this down here today. It could even touch 558 to 559. We could dip a little bit, but as long as we don't lose 557, what's happening is we had this low here. We came up, made a higher low, came up, and we could be making another higher low to get ourselves ready for this big push that's coming. Okay. And when it comes to this push, right, we have this gap to fill on SPY. So I think we might be pushing towards this gap, if not a little bit higher. They may try to break all-time highs and just squeeze shorts. And I think they're going to be giving us this pump because of this liquidity grab right here. And because the PPO is about to turn bullish, I think that those are the two main things I'm seeing. And then on top of that, I also think that they're going to do this because they're getting ready for a dump. All right. So yes, we could dip a little bit today, then get this big squeeze. And then as we get into September, historically, it's not a very strong month for the markets. And then we're going to be looking for a move back down just like this. I think that's going to be very, very probable for us. We may even start to fill some of these gaps as we get closer to October, and we'll see how things kind of progress from here for that bigger downtrend, right? That's when I think we're going to be losing 555 and start like dipping going into September. So this is what I see, basically. This is what I think is the most likely possibility. Okay, so right now as I speak, SPY is barely holding 560. There's a good chance it's going to lose that and start coming down to fill this gap. As long as we don't lose the low from yesterday, that 557 area, as long as we don't close below that, I think we're going to be completely fine. And I think that we're going to be getting ready for this move to the upside next week. I think there's going to be one final squeeze coming, and it may last a couple of days before we get another rejection. And I think we might be breaking all-time highs during that move. So when the move comes, I think that Tesla is going to try to follow the trend. I think that Tesla, as long as we don't get bad news, Tesla has this like local bottom that's being made right here. We came up, made a higher low. As long as we don't end up losing the lows from yesterday, we might see Tesla do something like this, make a nice recovery attempt going into early next week to get back up to 215, the high from yesterday, maybe a little bit higher. And then we'll be looking to see if Tesla gets, a rejection going into later. But we might be seeing a move like this on Tesla where we at least try to rebound a bit. So I'm going to be looking for a rebound next week, a little bit of a dip, then a squeeze for next week back up to these highs. Maybe even we could even go higher than that, depending on the news. We're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO, and I think that this is a potential reversal structure. So I think we're going to get a temporary bounce on Tesla. That's the most likely possibility. We may dip a little bit and then get ready for that rebound before anything else, and I find that's to be the most likely possibility. Same thing with SPY. We might dip a bit and try to rebound. By the way, I find that to be very probable. That's where I hold my view. My view will change if we lose 555. By the way, if we lose critical support, then I could change my view. But right now, I don't really see that happening. I think that this is going to be a temporary bottom. And I think that we may be establishing higher lows. For ES, the same thing is basically happening. ES is making higher lows again and again and again. So I wouldn't be surprised if we could dip a little bit more. We could get closer to about, as long as we're above like 5,600, we're going to be fine. We could get closer to 5,600 and try to rebound. But I think ES is setting this up as well, a little bit of a rebound. For Nvda, I noticed that it has dipped quite a bit, yes, but it's holding support at our 200 EMA, this 117 area. So we might dip a little bit, but then we could be looking for a bounce after that, a little bit of a bounce. And they might try to rebound things just temporarily before we get another big dip. So they might try a little trick where they pump Nvidia, they dip Nvidia today, rebound it next week like this, and then it just continues on this trend lower later on as time goes on. But that's what could be happening to Nvidia, a little bit of a rebound first, which helps the market pump. For NQ, I see an inverse head and shoulders forming. I think we might dip a little bit today, but this inverse head and shoulders might start playing out. Our PPO is looking quite decent. I think that the market's going to do this. We have this like left shoulder here. We have a head, and then we're about to form our right shoulder. Whether we get a dip or not does not matter. And then we could be getting ready for that nice pump for that 20,000 area, just like this. They might be trying to rebound things just to squeeze shorts, and also for many reasons. They could even try to push things higher just because they're getting ready to short the market for the September pullback, September/October. The QQQ looks bullish on the PPO, so we're about to turn bullish on the PPO. We had this bottom at 464 where we came up, red bar, made a higher low, came back up. So I think we're about to do the same thing. I think NQ is going to lead us, and I think that we have a left shoulder ahead already forming. This could even be our right shoulder already, and then we might just slowly do this, and just start pushing back up like this before we see a move back down. So that's what we could be getting ready for. So I think that's the most likely possibility for a little bit of a rally. I find that's to be very, very probable right now. So watch for that. For Aapl, same thing, guys. I think Apple's going to be dipping and bouncing. So we'll see if we hold our 20 EMA, this like 228 area, and then try to rebound, or if we dip all the way down to fill the gap at 226 and then rebound. We'll be watching to see which one it is, but look for a dip for now. And I think that that's going to be the most likely possibility. For the IWM, I think that we're holding the trend line very nicely. Even if we do dip below this, as long as we hold our like 20 EMA like around here, we could try to rebound like this slowly. I think we might just hold this trend line, try to form like a cup. So I find that's to be very probable. The market's dipping, so coin is dipping as well. I think that coin might fill this gap down here around this 178 area. We'll see if it bounces or not, but look for a little bit of a dip, and then we'll see what the reaction is. But look for that gap fill to 178, then we could bounce after that. So it might dip a little bit more. Amazon looks bullish to me. Amazon's looking very nice right now. I think we're forming an inverse head and shoulders. So I think that what could happen to Amazon is we kind of like dip like this, and then we just continue higher. We're going to be looking for a move like this going into next week. So I think there's going to be a bounce forming. Meta is not as strong looking. We're barely holding the support from yesterday. It might actually lose that. So it's looking a little bit weaker to me. It might just kind of consolidate and stay range bound like this, just going into next week. So I'm not seeing much. I'm just seeing a lot of consolidation on Meta. There could be an inverse head and shoulders, but we'd have to break past the highs to really get that. So we'll see. But that's what I'm seeing as most likely possibility. For Microsoft, I think we have our bottom at 405. Now we're going to get a temporary relief rally. We might dip closer to about 413 before we try to push higher for 419. So look for a little bit of a dip and bounce. Same thing with Google. Google has a possible inverse head and shoulders. So I presume what could be happening is we may be forming this pattern right here. This could be our reversal structure before we try to rebound, but that's going to fall us under the assumption that we hold 163. If 163 holds, I think Google's going to rebound next week. If not, we could lose it. So that's my view of the markets, guys. So we're dipping right now, but don't turn overly bearish because we're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO. And I think we're gonna dip a little bit more. We could get closer to 558 to 559, the low 559s at least, and then we'll see if we get a big bounce on SPY. I think we might fill this gap and then possibly get a bounce at the end of the day. And then going into next week, we might be setting ourselves up for one more rally before a bigger downturn starts, especially during this seasonality period. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think there's one more leg coming for the markets, and then we're going to be done with our move. And that's going to have a big effect on Tesla stock and might help Tesla start to push as well. Tesla may dip a little bit today, so be prepared for a little bit of downside. As long as we hold above 205, we're going to be fine. We could even see the 208 207 area again. If it does happen, it's going to be fine. As long as you don't lose like 205, 202, we're going to be fine. And then Tesla could try to rebound and look for a little rally next week, a little bit of a recovery move, just temporarily. And I think that's the most likely possibility. All right. So thank you all so much for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours, and peace out.